Good morning, everybody. Who wants to kick it old school for a Saturday morning walk and talk? Who's up right now on this beautiful, sweet-smelling Saturday morning? Just had a little bit of morning rain here, but the sun is out. Looks like all the clouds have dissipated for the most part. It's got that sweet rain smell on the ground, which I've always loved. So, I just thought I'd hop on, take you guys on a walk with me. I don't know how long I'll be on the video, so something kind of hit me today. Well, not just today, but it was just on my mind for me to think about and to talk about, is that I feel like right now, and I'm sure many of you feel the same way, that we're entering into a time in American history where we're going to be just as much, if not more divided than we were during the Civil War era. And that's a heck of a claim. Like, what do I mean by that? Like, I need to really explain myself on that one, because I'm basically comparing a time in American history where there's no slavery to a time when there was slavery. And as we know, the United States of America is, and I've made this point many times, you guys have heard me say this if you go back and watch my other videos, but the United States of America is no different than any other superpower when it comes to the blood and the injustice that it was built on. Let's just call it what it is. America was built on slavery. Just like the Roman Empire, the Greeks, the Persians, the Babylonians, even the Egyptians. Read the book of Exodus, right? The nation of Egypt was an ancient dynasty that was very powerful. At one point, it was the most powerful dynasty in the world, but it was unjustly built on the backs of God's people, of God's Hebrew Israelite people. So America's no different in that sense. But here's where America is different, and here's why I'm proud to be an American and why you should be too. Is that out of all the superpowers in the history of the world, America is the only superpower in history that was built on slavery, that went to war with itself, that was willing to literally tear itself in half from north to south to put an end to that. Right? Sorry about that, guys. My connection kind of went in and out. But I'll make that point again. America is the only superpower in history that was built on slavery like all the other ones, with the exception of the fact that it went to war with itself. It tore itself in half from north to south in order to put an end to slavery. Show me another superpower in history. Show me another dynasty. Show me another empire. Show me another kingdom in history that was willing to commit suicide in order to put an end to the slavery that it was built on, and was willing to even go back and regress back into the stage they were in before slavery. America was willing to burn itself down to the ground in order to end the injustice of slavery. It was, and that's something you should think about. That's something you should ponder, and that's something that should make you really proud to be an American. I had a lot going on when Juneteenth happened, when Joe Biden finally threw black people somewhat of a crumb and gave them Juneteenth as a federal holiday, which, by the way, guys, you guys do realize that Donald Trump's Platinum Plan, which he was going to implement in his second term, you do realize that the Platinum Plan included sorry, guys, my connection is going in and out, but you guys do realize that Trump's Platinum Plan included Juneteenth becoming a federal holiday, right? Just an FYI. But I said all that to say this, guys. Right now, in our lifetimes, I feel like we're standing between a divide. And I'm going to call them the two Fs. You have an F on one side. You have... Guys, how's my connection? Am I cutting in and out a lot? Sometimes I'm not in the best area when I do these walk and talks. Can you guys hear me okay? Let me know in the comments if you don't mind. But getting back to what I was saying, there are two Fs on each side. On the first side, you have the free, right? You have the free on the first side. Thank you, Jordan. On the other side of the divide, you have the fearful. And that's who this country is being divided in half by. There's going to be a division, a historic division, between the free and the fearful. Now, what's the difference between each? Let me start with the free. The free are people who believe that it is not the role of government to be our nanny. It is not the role of government to be our God and to tell us what to do in every area of our lives and to micromanage every area of our lives. Now, I'm not saying that the government doesn't have a right to pass laws. Obviously, they do. It's a God-given right. Read Romans 13. It's based on the natural law. But the government does not have the right to micromanage every aspect of your life. They don't. And people who are on the side of freedom, which myself and many of you, we believe that as adults, our personal medical decisions should be left up to us. Like our friends on the left like to say, and I apologize for stealing your line, my body, my choice, right? Those on the side of fear believe in my body, my choice, right? When it comes to abortion. Yet, they seem to be very anti-choice when it comes to masks, when it comes to getting jabbed in the delt, if you get my drift. All of a sudden, that my body, my choice flies right out of the window, and fear takes over. That's right, Brenda, we the people. So here's what I see happening. Usually, and this is kind of what makes a democratic republic society like America unique, is that usually what the mind and spirit and the attitude of the people is what ends up being the attitude of the government. Why? Because we the people. We are governed by the consent of the governed. So, when society becomes more secular, which for the last 100 years, I've been saying this throughout all my content, that for the last 100 years, America and the West in general has definitely fallen into secularism. It has. For the most part, it's drifted away from God. I'm not going to say it's completely turned its back on God, because we still have a strong number of Judeo-Christian people in the country that I believe appeases God's wrath. Kind of like the Sodom and Gomorrah principle. You know, if God can find just, a handful of just people, would he spare something? I believe that there's enough just, holy, Judeo-Christian people in the country that have spared the country. But the country is being divided in half right now. It is. And what I see happening is, and we all see it happening right now. I'm not being like a prophet or a wizard with anything I'm saying. This is all common sense. This is just observation. Is that you have certain parts of the country, which I'm in a blue state, by the way, that tend to be more on the fearful side. They tend to fear the China beer bug. And make no mistake about it, guys. We are living under the wrath of bioterrorism, of Chinese, Wuhan bioterrorism. No doubt about it. There's no doubt whatsoever about that. We are basically, if you think about it, war has been waged on our country in a way that's never been waged before. We've been attacked by a plague. And for the most part, China's gotten away with it. They have. They've gotten away with it. And not only did China get away with it, but they actually profited off the very crisis they created. You want to know how? They were one of the largest producers of masks. Think about it. They are monetizing and profiting off of selling masks to the very world that they poisoned with their bioterror strain. Think about that. And they got away with it. Because China is communist and they want to take over the world. And they want to become the top superpower in the world. They do. They want to knock the United States off that #1 spot, and they want to take it for themselves. So rather than invade us with their 100 million man army, they're invading us with their 100 trillion army of beer bugs. And it's been dividing our country. And they've doing it all over the world. So what I see happening is, you're going to see certain states like Florida, for example, like Texas, for example, freedom states that are going to push back against lockdown mandates. And I do believe that we're going to see more waves of lockdowns again. They're already greasing the skids for it, guys. Like, don't be surprised. I'm not saying this to depress you or freak you out, just to prepare you. Let's be adults here. Let's read the signs of the times. I believe that there are going to be lockdowns, or at least recommendations of lockdowns, which a lot of states are going to abide by. and are going to implement. We already see other countries doing it. Australia, New Zealand, London. There are countries that are just coming out of lockdown that literally a week later, they lock back down again. Mask mandates are definitely coming back. Look at what's happening in New York. In New York, you have to have an anti-beer bug passport just to eat at restaurants, just to go to concerts, just to go to museums. Basically, you have liberals in New York saying, show me your papers. You have to show me your jabbing papers, which is what the Nazis would say to Jews in the ghetto when they were walking the street. And that's what's happening, guys. But here's the beauty, though. We live in the only country in the world that has what's called federalism. What federalism is each state has their own individual sovereignty that is free from the federal government. So what we're going to see is let's kind of draw a map together. I think that the North, for the most part, the North is liberal, right? The North part of our country is liberal. You got Washington State on the left coast. That's up in the upper Pacific Northwest. Then you got Illinois. Then you got Michigan. You got Oregon. Then you got New York, the Northeast. Pretty much the entire North of America is liberal. So bet on many parts of the North being locked down. Many parts of the North asking people to show me your papers to prove you got the jab in order to have a, quote, normal life. It's funny how these states think that they can dangle normalcy in front of you. They're like, oh, we'll give you some normalcy if you just get the jab. And then you can go back to normal. We'll give you your life back because we see ourselves as God and we have the power to give or take away the normalcy of your life. It is in our hands to give you permission whether or not you can go eat a hamburger or go watch a play or take your kids to the zoo or a museum on a Saturday. We are government and we are God. And if you want to earn our kindness and our mercy, you have to show me your papers. That's what's going on in the North, guys. Just get ready for it. Just accept it. Well, when I say accept it, I don't mean obey. I just say, just get ready for it. It's going to be part of what we're going to be exposed to. The South, I would say for the most part, is freedom-based. Okay, which is very strange. It's a very strange contrast because in the Civil War era, you had the North that was all about freedom and you had the South that was, right? You had the North that was all about freedom. You had the South that was all about slavery. That's when the country tore in half. In this day and age, it's flipped. It's completely reversed. The North is all about the slavery of passports, showing your papers, mask mandates, lockdowns. The South, for the most part, is all about freedom. Haven't you noticed that? Did you guys know that real estate in Texas, particularly the capital of Texas, Austin, has increased by 43%, guys? I was just reading a Hollywood Reporter article yesterday, and it said that real estate, that housing prices in Austin, Texas, and in other parts of Texas has increased as much as 43% in just the last year. Do you know why? Because everybody is fleeing to Texas. Everybody is fleeing south. It's funny how all the people from the North and from the West are now fleeing from the South, which just 150, 200 years ago, they were fleeing from. It's like they're fleeing the mandate CDC slavery of the North down to the free South. Isn't that quite a reversal? And we're kind of living through that, guys. You have states like Florida, where real estate prices are exploding through the roof. Why? Because it's a state of freedom. You got guys like Ron DeSantis. Have you guys heard? Did you hear his speech? Just go on YouTube. Did you hear his speech against Biden the other day? He said that Biden, that he is going to stand. He literally said, I'm going to stand in your way. He told Joe Biden, I'm going to stand in your way if you're going to try to enforce more lockdowns and mandates. It's not going to happen in my state. And I think other states are going to follow suit. It's interesting how Biden gives a speech, which, by the way, Mr. Biden, I'm not going to call him Mr. President. You guys know why I will never do that. Mr. Biden, where was your mask? How come you're not leading by example? Why weren't you wearing your mask, man? Why weren't you wearing your mask, man? Why weren't you wearing your mask when you were giving your speech the other day? Shouldn't you lead by example? If you want us masking back up, where's yours, sir? But the fact is, Joe Biden singled out two states with propaganda and lies that said that, oh, these two states have the highest rates of the Delta variant, which is Florida and Texas. Well, it's so funny how, if that's true, Biden is to blame for Texas, because all this virus, and DeSantis pointed this out, all these illegals that he's letting over the border, I bet you they don't have to show papers. I bet you they don't have to wear masks. I bet you they don't have to shelter in place, do they? Right? Where's their mandates? Are they doing their part to keep us safe? Think about it. They come from countries that are riddled with disease, that are third world. I'm not looking down on those countries. It just is what it is. They don't have the medical technology and the advanced medicine and the advanced healthcare that we do, which is why they come here. Go figure that. They come here because they want better healthcare. And if I want to take it further, they come here because they want free healthcare. They want Obamacare, and they're going to get it. So, Biden is to blame. He should be blaming himself, not Governor Greg Abbott down in Texas. He's letting these floods of people in across the border. So, of course, cases are going to go up. Are they being tested? Are they being required? Probably not, because that ain't how you treat your future Democrat voters. When you're trying to create a permanent underclass of people that are going to vote for you for decades on decades because you were the Santa Claus that gave them free citizenship, which is what they're trying to do. Like and share this video. Make sure you check out my YouTube channel. And I even wrote an article about this, which I was honored that the late Walter E. Williams quoted, where the article is called Illegal Aliens, the New Black Vote. And what the Democrats are trying to do, because they've been aborting 20 million of us since Roe versus Wade, they're trying to replace the black vote, guys. And that's what they're doing with the illegals. And, but of course, Biden's not going to make that connection. He's not going to blame himself for the surge of cases in Texas. Why? Because it'll force him to acknowledge the surge of illegal immigrants coming through the open border. So what I see happening is the North is going to be fear-based. You're going to see mandates, lockdown. You'll have little pockets of freedom here and there. You'll have cities, you'll have townships. You might even have a state or two that is going to be on the freedom side of things. But then the East Coast and the West Coast are pretty much going to be the fear-based. That's where all the mandates are going to be. I see the South and the Midwest as being the beacon of freedom. Think of an anchor. Think of an anchor, right? My finger pointing down is the Midwest. The base of the anchor is the South. So when you go to like Red Lobster or you go to those seafood restaurants, you always know how there's like an anchor. That's what I see America being as far as the freedom goes. The freedom-based sections of America is going to be the Midwest and the South, which is going to resemble an anchor if I could draw it out. But all around it are going to be the fear-based passport Nazis, we'll call them. And that's what's going to happen, guys. That's what's happening right now. It's literally happening in New York. So we just got to prepare for it. And again, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, the best way to prepare for it is to focus diligently on the things in your life that you can control. Get that weight down. Get that extra weight off. Get your finances in order. Get your debt paid off. Get your credit good. Dial in every part of your life that you... Sorry, I have to keep repeating because my internet keeps cutting out. Dial in every part of your life that you have control over. Get it firing on all cylinders. So that if this crap I'm talking about hits the fan, and I'm going to venture to say when, not if. When this crap hits the fan, if you happen to be one of the unlucky people that lives in one of these blue fear-based states, you can survive through it. And not only survive through it, but you might even be able to thrive through it, depending on how diligent you are. And here's what my advice would be to put yourself in that position. I'll kind of give you a page out of my own playbook of what I'm doing. Hold on a second. I got a lady with a dog. Oh, I know. Is that a lab?
Yeah.
Hey.
She's a former leader dog trainee. So
She looks like a leader dog.
She's as gentle as she
Oh.
can be, so
Hey, baby girl.
no need to be.
No problem. Have a good... Sorry about that, guys. Sweet old dog with a sweet old lady passing me. The thing is, well, that's true to a degree, Barbara. Don't give in. Fight back. The best way to fight back, guys, to get to my point, Fight back in your own life. If you want to go to rallies, go to rallies. If you want to vote, vote. If you want to run for office, run for office. All those cliche solutions, implement all those if you feel like that'll help you. But those are what I call macro solutions. In other words, those are what I call big picture tactics. Those are things on a larger scale that are going to take more time to make a difference if you do. But if you want to really, really fight back, if you want to really, really hashtag just say no, like Jordan Hansen's saying, my friend there, then I think the quickest way to do it and the most beneficial way to do it for yourself is to just say no, to fight back, to resist by dialing in your life, guys. Try to make your life the best you can. And I know that sounds vague and generic, and it has to be because we're all in different situations. Some of us are in school, some of us are employees, some of us are business owners, some of us are unemployed, some of us are retired, some of us are sick. So whatever, I can guarantee you that you have all the tools and all the opportunity and all the grace that you need to grow exactly wherever it is that God planted you. You are where you're at right now because that's where God planted you. Whatever state, whatever city, whatever situation you're in. Yeah, I don't know if they're messing with my feet, Amy. I just think it's bad connection, which happens when I do walk and talk sometimes. But I truly believe, guys, that you can grow where you're planted. Just focus on growing where you're planted. So the best strategy is to, and I know this is easier said than done, guys, try to consume less news. Sometimes ignorance is bliss, guys. Sometimes knowledge is sorrow, and sometimes ignorance truly is. Sometimes it is. Sometimes ignorance truly is bliss. I mean, weigh the cost benefit. If you're a content creator, if you have a platform, if you make a living off giving your spin on things, which believe it or not, I actually don't. I have never monetized any of my channels, guys. Never. I'm not saying I won't one day. I just don't have time to be honest. It's a full-time gig. And I'm killing it in real estate right now. Why? Because it's something within my life I can control. It's in the immediate micro picture of my life, and I'm dialing it in like crazy. But unless you're like a content creator, why do you need to consume the news? Think about it. What benefit are you going to get by going on your favorite blogs, turning on your favorite news channels, turning on your favorite talk show? What benefit is it going to get other than the immediate, I guess, kind of surge you get from the outrage? Because there are lots of outrage brokers out there, guys, both on the left and on the right. The left has their outrage brokers, but us on the right, we have our outrage brokers too. And when I look back on my content creation history, there was a time when I was kind of brokering some outrage, but rightfully so, though. I had to raise awareness about what was going on. But the fact is, guys, avoid the outrage. Avoid the news. You're not being a coward. You're not retreating. You're not surrendering. You're not giving up. Because all it's going to do is agitate you, make you afraid. It's going to tick you off. And all it's going to do is make you focus on things that you can't control. It is. All it's going to do is distract you from all those immediate things in your life that you have total 100% control over. Joe Biden, vaccine passports, none of those have any control over how much you weigh. None of those have any control over how much money's in your bank account, over whether or not your house is in order, over whether or not you're doing what you can to get the best grades you can so you can get that degree in your field that'll give you a career. Most of what you consume on a daily basis has nothing whatsoever to do with those immediate things within your control. What does Joe Biden possibly have to do with what time you wake up in the morning at a decent hour? Huh? What does critical race theory have anything to do with whether or not you need to change the way you eat to get back in the gym? Right? And again, it's a temptation, guys. It's a temptation to consume all those things that are right there, that are immediately accessible because we live in the smart device era. We are in information overload. And not only are we on information overload, but we're on propaganda overload. We are. Most of what you guys read is opinion. Most of what we read is not fact, guys. It's opinion. It's spin doctors giving their take on what they think things are. And in a way, you're kind of stepping into their frame in a way. You're kind of stepping into their storybook. So what I say to do is, rather than participating in their stories, rather than being characters in their art and their narratives and being characters in their storybooks, you should be the author of your own literary classic, which is your life, your family, your weight, your finances, your relationship with God. Just focus on those things, guys. Don't use news and macro events as coping mechanisms to not focus on the things that you can focus on. Because let's be honest, if we sit down and take inventory of our lives, think about it. If you're behind in your taxes, let's say you're behind in, let's say you got 4 years worth of back taxes. You got to get on QuickBooks, you got to hire CPAs, you got to negotiate with the IRS, you got to negotiate with whatever your state taxing authority is if you're in a state that has income tax. That's like probably dozens of hours and thousands of dollars to clean up. And you got that sitting in front of you, right? But then, as you're on your computer, you see a little banner ad that pops up that says, get the latest news on the passports. Get the latest news on the Wuhan virus beer bug. Oh, yeah, let me see what they're talking about. Click, click, click. Or you go on Facebook, or you get a notification on one of your social media platforms, and you get swallowed up in this article that you read or this video that you watch. All of a sudden, 3 hours have gone by. You're pissed off, you're stressed out, you're anxious, you're fearful over all those things you read about that you have no direct control over. Anxious about all those things, I'll repeat because I just cut out, that you have no immediate or direct control over. And the whole time, the one thing that you do have control over, like your back taxes, your blood sugar levels, your HbA1c, your cholesterol, your weight, all those other things that are right in front of you that you could do something about right now, they've been put on the back burner for 3-4 hours because we've been consumed in news, right? Or maybe they've been put on the back burner for 3 or 4 days because you go on Facebook and you say, oh, look at my friend. They're doing a rally. They're doing a medical freedom workers rally. You know what? I'm going to join them. I'm going to fight to save my country. I'll get back to these back taxes later. Good old Uncle Sam can wait till I'm ready. Well, he ain't going to wait. I can tell you that right now. I'm just using that as an example, guys. And I'm not saying that it's wrong to rally and fight for a country. Do all that stuff, but just realize what you're doing. Just realize that those are macro solutions that are going to take a long time to see a difference from, because you have to go through the bureaucratic process of elections and influencing people on a mass scale. None of that happens overnight, guys. None of that happens immediately. All those other things in your life could happen immediately. They could change immediately. And the only reason they won't change immediately is if you don't change them, because nobody else can change them for you. Biden can't, Trump can't, Kamala Harris can't, Juneteenth can't, Black Lives Matter can't, right? So just be honest with yourself, guys. I'm not questioning your patriotism. We're all patriots. We all love our country. But don't allow patriotism, don't allow fear of fixing your life, don't allow laziness, don't allow an unwillingness to cope with things in your life that you need to fix mask itself as patriotism. That's all I'm saying. And a lot of what I'm talking about, guys, is a big reason why I have been off the grid for the last, 3 months, 4 months? I don't make videos in a long time, guys. I might throw up a post here and there. I might go old school and throw up some theology posts, get some discussion started about Catholicism and some of the agreements and disagreements that Catholics and non-Catholics have with each other. We all discuss it civilly. I've been doing stuff like that lately. But as far as just cranking out content and doing this and doing what you guys are accustomed to seeing me do, I haven't been doing it. And I did a video the other day explaining why. Go back and watch it. I've been focused on things in my life I have control over. They've been going very well. And to be honest, I've been a lot happier since I went on a news fast. I really have. So that's my encouragement for this video, guys. Go on a news fast. Our country is being divided right now. It is. So stay on the freedom side. And the best way to stay on the freedom side, fix your life, focus on those things you have control over. And I will see you guys on the next video. Please like and share this video, comment on it. I love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy this beautiful weather. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.